We have a distinguished panel of experts to guide us through these topics. So let's talk a little bit about credit repair and financial wellness, because that is kind of been the topic that you all have been working on. What are the most common misconceptions about credit scores, and how can people begin to repair or build their credit?
What I always share with people is that your credit is literally your story. When you think about your credit, understand that you are in full control of what your outline looks like. You are in full control of what your story will tell from a financial perspective. The reality is that if you have bad credit, you pay more for life, right? Because when you go to get your lights turned on, they're asking you for your social so they can check your credit to see if there is a security deposit associated with it. If you and I went out and you got good credit and I got marginal credit or bad credit, and we bought the same exact car, that person who has good credit will pay less for that car over the life of the car. We used to be able to do deals on a handshake. Well, guess what? Your credit score is your handshake. It shows up before you do. And so ultimately, you want to make sure that you are very reputable in that process. And because what folks don't really understand is that your credit score also drives your zip code. If you don't have the right credit, you don't buy the right home in the right neighborhood, and now you have what? Zero economic mobility. And so when you think about where you want to live, you got to think about what? Am I paying these bills on time? Right? You got to think about, am I writing the story that I want to write? So that way when I meet a banker, when I meet a mortgage banker, when I meet somebody who's about to sell me that car, even turn on my lights, or even that new iPhone that you want to get, right? Now all of a sudden my story shows up once they type in those 9 digits. So ultimately what you want to do is understand that your credit is a living, breathing document. And you want to make sure that you're in full control of that by controlling your outline.
What's one financial habit you wish you had started earlier in your career?
Invest early. Look into your retirement early. Is there a way that you could start to save sooner than later? Because what happens before you know it, you're pushing closer to retirement. That's where I'm at, and I'm like, I just don't feel like it's enough. So I'm investing more. But I sometimes look back and say, I wish I could have just did this a little bit sooner. I wish I would have utilized other resources outside of what the company is helping me pay with my retirement. But how can I invest my money outside of that? How do I, look into options of CDs, secure credit, like doing things like that to just kind of think about financial planning a lot sooner than later. And sometimes you'll kind of think, well, I just can't afford that right now. I really need every piece of penny that I got, every coin that comes in. However, you won't miss it if you don't see it. So go ahead and invest sooner than later. Don't wait until you're 30 and say, okay, now I think I can invest now because I make a little bit more money. Every little bit counts. The sooner, the better.
Realize is number one, there's got to be education around why you plan for retirement. I want to play at the golf course when I retire. I don't have to work at the golf course when I retire. It's part of what we do. But the other piece was a diversified portfolio, making sure that, hey, by the way, I'm taking care of you all the way to the grave, but I also want to make sure we're taking care of the cradle aspect. So retirement's a long-term return. The life piece and that balance is something that can take care of immediate needs. God forbid something happens to the breadwinner within the house. So there's got to be balance there. There's got to be both the short term and the long term. Our goal is to make sure that you're fiscally responsible. Also have the hard conversation. Have that disciplined conversation. Say, by the way, if we want to be here, we got to do this here. Because if you wait until here, it's going to be much tougher. The life piece is much easier and much less expensive when you're younger. The retirement piece is much easier and much less expensive when you're younger, because it doesn't cost as much. So start early, have discipline, understand. But the last piece I'll say is ask questions. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you don't have to know. Find somebody you have faith in, if it's Charles, whoever it may be. Ask the questions about how can I get to here. Our role is to provide an avenue, some type of path, a journey to get there.